Welcome to the Pleasure Points Podcast. I'm your host, James Rohr. It is getting hot in here. I'm so excited you're here. This is, we're going back to some of my earlier roots as a relationship coach and a dating coach in this episode. I got set off on Instagram, so I am making my reply here. You're going to want to listen to this one, especially if you are single or if you're having issues in your relationships right now. So spread the love. Thank you guys for your reviews and for spreading the episode, sharing this with the people that you love. I'm so glad that you're here. Enjoy the show. Woo, what a difference a week makes. Here we are. Welcome back to Vanchovy. I'm seeing and experiencing a flaw perhaps in using this as a recording studio because it is hot in here right now. And I don't know that I could have the air on without it being annoying in the background. So this might become like a little sweat lodge on wheels. And I'm okay with that for right now. Did you ever watch that Aziz Ansari series? Man, I forget what it was called. It was like about dating in New York before he got in trouble with all the Me Too stuff. There's my favorite scene in that show is when he's walking with his best friend and the best friend says something about the weather. And Aziz looks at him and is like, really? We're talking about the weather now? I thought that was hysterical because I'm not typically one who likes to talk about the weather, but you wouldn't know that by listening to the recent episodes of this podcast because I seem to talk about what's going on with the weather a lot. But that's what happens in the Midwest in the springtime. You never know what's going to happen. People are eager for it to be warmer out. And then all of a sudden, it's like dead of summer, even though we're still in May. So anyway, here we are. I wanted to pop on here today and talk about something I was triggered when I was watching something on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at James E. Rohr if you haven't already. There was a guy that was answering questions. I don't even know who he is. I saw it like it was like a post of a post that someone was asking, like, you know, how do you, as a single woman, how do you attract like a single, mature, available man who's like comfortable and is masculine or whatever? And the response, and the guy even said, he goes, this is going to be an unpopular response, but the response was saying something about how like the masculine man is going to react and change and grow and develop in response to being with a woman who's in her divine feminine. Basically, the guy was sort of implying that, you know, a man won't do that work on his own unless there's a woman who's holding the space for it. And so one of his suggestions was to like choose your dating partner based on their potential. I'm not sure that there could be a bigger like trigger for me than that one. Because for those of you that have been through my relationship program, you know, you've heard me talk about this. The single biggest mistake that I think someone can make in the dating world when choosing a partner is to choose the partner based on potential. It's a terrible decision. And it's pretty messed up when you think about it. Like I used to do this. I used to like be with women, and I remember thinking, okay, like this woman has so much potential. Like if only she, like this and this and this happened, like, oh my gosh, like the sky's the limit. Anything is possible. And I used to think that was a compliment. I used to think that I was like giving them a compliment. Like, wow, you have all of this potential. Like, look at all this greatness inside of you and all of that stuff. And it was only like way later that I realized how messed up that was. And actually it's, I wouldn't even say it's like a backhanded compliment. It's like it's no compliment at all, really. It's basically saying, but what is this person that's happening right in front of you? What are you seeing directly in front of your eyes? What are your eyes and ears and all of your senses telling you about this person? Well, that you might not really like them for who they are right now. So whether you're single and choosing a partner, or if you're in a relationship and you guys have taken a break, or you're separated, or you're trying to reconcile and you're thinking about getting back together, the same advice holds true. Like, you have to assess, do I like this person that is right in front of me? not the person who is saying that they're going to do all these things, not all the promises that they say that they're going to make or that they're making, and it's all the things that they're going to do. Not for all the stuff that might happen one day. It's just like this person who's right in front of you. Do you like them? Do you want to be with them? Do you enjoy spending time with this person who's right in front of you? Because if you don't, that tells you all that you need to know. And holding on or like betting on potential, while maybe there's like, what is it? What would you say? 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, where you hear those stories of, a woman who stays with a man who's like all down on his luck and whatever, but he's got so much potential. And then it finally pulls through. He manifests all that potential. Their love deepens. Like, that's the fairy tale. That doesn't happen very often. And the chances that you're going to buck that trend are slim to none. Now, that's not very nice for me to put that out there, but look, let's just call it what it is. Like, you do not want to date based on potential. You want to be with someone based on their values and what you're seeing right in front of you. We're doing this this energy course, right? We're in the middle of our course now, and one of the things that I'm talking about over and over and over and over again, perhaps the most important thing when it comes to like deepening and developing your intuition, is to pay attention to what is happening right in front of you. Like, what is your body experiencing right now? Are you feeling tension? Are you feeling joy? Are you feeling lightness? Are you feeling contraction? Does it feel murky? Does it feel green? All right. Are you seeing yellow? Are you seeing red? Like, whatever it is, like, as you check into your body, as you observe what's going on, like, what is the data? What is happening right now? And this is so different than like the story that we're going to be writing about what may or may not be happening, right? So instead of going to that place of, I like this feeling, I don't like this feeling, or I must, this contraction that I'm feeling or this knot in my stomach must mean that I'm excited, or it must mean that he's going to ghost me later, or it must mean that, doom is on the horizon, right? That's all story. What you want to focus on is just observing what's happening right in front of you. Because if you go to the story, you're going to be able to spin it in any way that's comfortable for you, any way that you've done like time and time and time and time and time again. Whether it's like, betting on the long shot, congrats to the Kentucky Derby winner. Whether you're betting on the long shot or, you're certain that this is going to be another failure, whatever those stories are that you're used to writing, you'll be able to take the data and morph it into whatever you want. Like, hello, look at what's been going on in the last couple of years, right? Each side is taking whatever little slice of data they want and spinning it to prove their point. So when we just focus on the data, when you focus on in particular, what your body is experiencing, what are you seeing right before your eyes? And you trust that and you work with that and you just say, okay, this is what I'm experiencing right now. And you keep doing that over and over and over and over again. And you can compile the list of all of these different data points. And then that can make your decision as to like what action steps you want to take going forward. But if instead you start like having an experience of like blowing past or ignoring the data just because you want to write a story that's romantic, that's joyous, that's hopeful, but you're looking over the fact that like he's got a terrible relationship with his parents. He talks all sorts of smack about his exes. Maybe he doesn't, maybe he's got kids and he just like, he doesn't seem to be a good dad, but you see all of this warm, cuddly, fuzzy potential with this person. You're missing all of this data. And we do it, right? It's like there's a certain amount of probably procreation, genetic desire for procreation where, we might have a history of just overlooking things because the universe wants more children. But nowadays, like, don't do that. Don't ignore what you're seeing right in front of you. So if you're facing these decisions of like, I don't know, should I stay? Should I go? Is this the right person? Ask yourself, if this person were to never, ever change, would you be okay with that? Would you still like this person? If they always left the cabinet doors open, if they always left their socks like right up against the dirty laundry basket, but not in the dirty laundry basket, all whatever those triggers are for you. If they did that forever, would you be okay with it? Would you still love them? Or are you going into it thinking, well, I'm going to fix them. Surely he's trainable, right? Or surely she's trainable. Or, I'm going to listen to their words and not their actions. Like we had a very good friend of ours who was getting married. And, there were all these warning signs that we could see that she couldn't see, that this was going to be problematic. And sure enough, they got married, and then a few months later they were separated and, went through the divorce process. And in that, one of the things I kept telling her was like, what is happening right in front of you? Like, what is the data? What are you seeing? What are you experiencing? And she would go to this potential. She would talk about how, he's got all these other sides of him that no one else sees. And it's like, yeah, but what about the sides that we all are seeing? Like, is that okay? And the biggest thing that both Jen and I were saying is, suggesting is that, like, if it's hard now when you're engaged, it typically doesn't get easier once you get married. And if you have kids, and, if there's like health stuff that comes up and all of these challenges, all this extra resistance starts happening. Like, if the engagement is challenging, if the dating is like really challenging, chances are things aren't going to get easier. Sometimes they do. And maybe you don't value easy. Maybe you value hardness, or you're like working through a karmic thing that you want to sort out. That's all cool too, if that's what you're into. But let's just be really honest about what's happening. That you're not actually on a quest for things to be easy and joyous and happy and thriving and fulfilling. You might just be stuck in your like life is challenging loop. And that's cool. If you want to stay there, you're more than welcome to do that. That choice is entirely up to you. But when it comes to like relationships and stuff, thinking that things are going to get better once you get married, or things are going to get better once you have a kid or whatever, like that's just like, it's malarkey. It's just not typically what tends to happen. And so please, for the love of all things holy, do not date based on potential. Or, look, you're going to date because of potential. You're like, oh, this person could be great. But like after the first month or 2 months, once you start to get to know this person, pay attention to their values. What do they value? What do they speak of? Someone who's had a past relationship, who's been previously married, like there's a lot of great data. That's a great like experience that person's been through, where you can get some interesting data. Pay attention to how this person talks about their ex. Are they just bad-mouthing? Are they blaming? Are they playing the victim? Are they taking ownership? Are they taking accountability? Are they showing up? All of those things are very valuable pieces of information. And, I suspect, I haven't really thought this one out thoroughly, but let's just sort it out here live on the podcast. I suspect that part of the allure of dating based on potential, aside from all the obvious, is that you can just live in like fantasy land, is that we tend to see ourselves based on our own potential. We tend to think about like what's possible for us, because sometimes that's easier than paying attention to what actually is. So we tend to see our own potential. But how often are you fulfilling your own potential? How often are you becoming the person that you've always wanted to become? How often are you taking that risk? Are you taking that leap? Are you putting yourself out there? Are you, exposing, putting yourself into a vulnerable situation with work, with life, with friends? How often are you, setting aside all of the security and comfort that comes from staying in the known and putting yourself in the unknown? Because becoming your potential means that you've got to be stepping into the unknown. You might have an inkling of what you think it might be, but the truth is you have really no idea. And if you knew how to get from where you are now to that point, you'd have done it already. But you don't know. There's some preparation that has to happen. There are things that will have to happen that you might not even be able to anticipate yet in order for that potential to become manifest. And all of that is scary. All of that, it says, okay, I have to surrender my beliefs, right? Even if you're trying to lose weight, like, well, I know I need to eat less, I need to exercise. Maybe. Like, yes, those are steps that tend to happen in that process. But there's probably some other change, some other shift that is going to happen inside of you that you had no idea about, that you may not have ever, considered or actively engaged in, right? There might be something that you might have to forgive your family. You might have to forgive your parents. There might be a grudge that you have to let go of. You may have to extend forgiveness to somebody. You may have to even just wake up earlier than you've done before. Maybe you have to clean out your closet and just get rid of some of the old clothes. Maybe you have to put yourself in a situation where there is no going back, where the only way to success is forward. And maybe you've never done those things before, and that's cool. That's awesome. There's all sorts of potential there. And that's the trap. That's the trap. And so we like to be nice to ourselves oftentimes, not everyone, not all the time, but on those good moments, we like to think nice things about ourselves. We like to think about our potential. We like to think about what we could become. And so if that's you, it's natural that you might extend that to a partner, because we tend to attract what we are. And so if you're someone that thinks of yourself as having so much potential, it seems reasonable that you would be thinking about attracting a partner, or that you would attract a partner who you also see has so much potential. And what are you going to get if the two of you stay together? Two people who have never come anywhere close to actualizing their potential, because it's not the actualization of your potential that is familiar. It's the holding on to the hope and daydreaming of the potential, because to actually become that is hard work. It's scary. It's challenging. It's uncomfortable. And most people aren't really into that. So if you're with someone, if you find someone who values doing uncomfortable things, who values going into the unknown, who values being able and willing to let go of what's familiar, or being able to change their mind on something, those to me are huge values. Those are things that I value. Someone who shows up consistently, someone who takes accountability. These are the things that when I was dating that I look for, and the things that, when I'm with Jen, that I celebrate about her and myself. And so if I wanted to attract somebody that shows up and takes accountability and is willing to have hard conversations and also loves to laugh and be joyous and do fun things, I have to do that. I've got to be that way first. And I'll tell you what happens is that once you start fulfilling your potential, once you start actualizing the things that you set your aim to, you're just not really going to tolerate someone who isn't doing those same things. So the best way to break this loop of dating on potential is to become that person that you want to be, to accept yourself, to celebrate yourself as you are. And then all of this, the allure and the trap of potential will just go away. You won't be stuck in it. And I'm going to do another episode here where we talk more about this idea of self-improvement, because there's an important distinction to be made there between self-improvement and growth. Oftentimes, those two things aren't necessarily the same. And so when you're engaging and thinking about, stepping into your potential, think about it more as growth. And what I would say is, for 99.9% of us, stepping into your quote-unquote potential means coming back and seeing and celebrating yourself for who you are. It's about not becoming anything else other than simply more aware of who you are, how you're feeling, what is happening inside of you as you move through your day. What games are you playing? Are you pretending to be something that you're not? Have you overly identified with needing to be right or sticking up for your rights and complaining all the time? Right? What are these games that you play that are actually distracting from your essence? What are these distractions that you might engage in, these beliefs that you might have that keep you blinded from simply acknowledging the fact that you are a sacred being who has the opportunity to dance on this planet in a loving and powerful way and can bring joy to his or her community? That's it. Coming back and seeing yourself as you are is perhaps the greatest potential, the activation, the acceptance of the potential that could ever be. But if you equate your potential to doing things and acquiring more wealth or acquiring more things, or whatever some of this the Western ingrained kind of capitalistic ideas of activating your potential are, that tends to just be another game. But when you can turn your focus inward, and when I say that, I don't mean like spending more time overanalyzing yourself or spending more time mired in story or believing the anxieties that are happening. Simply turning your attention back to yourself, where you are seeing and noticing and observing what is happening within you. Taking that information in and then setting an aim, sending a clear signal to yourself and to the greater consciousness, the universe, God, whatever, of what it is that you're grateful for, what it is that you're celebrating, and what it is that you are excited to be able to create in this life. And when you can start doing that more consistently, you won't be attracted to the illusion of people who just tell them all sorts of stories of what, path they're on or what could become, what one day might happen, because you're no longer attracted to that. You're not living in that space. You're focusing on what is, and you're focusing on like opening your heart and just being able to spread that kind of kindness, to have, say it a little bit differently, so that each time you step on the earth, it's done in a way that is celebrating life, that is giving thanks for Mother Earth. And that is your dance, your unique opportunity, your unique song that you're able to sing out into the world. And that you're singing it whether you know it or not, whether you're paying attention to it or not. And this is what I mean, like to sing more beautifully, to have your life be a work of art, is not about creating something totally different. It's not about becoming someone totally different. It starts with the radical acceptance of what is. And when you can do that, when you start doing that, the people that you attract into your life, the things that you will have the patience for, the things that you will be enamored with will change. It will shift. So please, for the love of all things holy, don't keep dating based on someone's potential. Don't reconcile based on someone's potential. Stay focused on what's happening right in front of you, and pay attention to what your body is telling you as you're thinking and interacting with these people or situations. And let's see what happens. Right now, my body is telling me that the AC has all evaporated from the van. I am sweating buckets. And this is what I do for the love of the Pleasure Points podcast. As always, I love to hear from you guys. You can hit up the show, pleasurepointspodcast@gmail.com. Hit me up on Instagram @JamesERoar. And man, I just hope you're having a blessed day. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll catch you next time.